Unlike a lot of other programming languages, Go doesn't use exceptions for error handling. Instead, errors are just normal values which you create, you return and you check just like any other values. So in this one we're going to have a look at some basic error handling. I'll show you how to create an error, how you return it, and how you can check if it is a real error or if it is nil. So here are some use cases. The reasons why we use, or the reasons why Go uses this style of error handling, is it just keeps the control flow nice and clean and easy to follow and understand. And so like it says here, you can return both a result and an error from a function. You can check for problems by comparing an error with nil, and you can stop a function early when something goes wrong. So these are common patterns which you will see in Go and which we're also going to have a look at right now. Okay, so let's actually go ahead and create a function which will return a value and an error. So this is going to be called 2 seconds, and we're going to take a minute integer and convert it to seconds. So the variable will be called minutes, that will be an integer, and we're going to return an integer for the number of seconds as well as an error if something goes wrong. Now the zero value for an error is nil, which means if we don't have an error we simply return nil to represent that error. And you'll see that in a second. First of all, let's check if minutes is less than 0. If minutes is less than 0, then we can't really convert that to seconds. We can go no further. So what we need to do here is send back an error. So for the first value, for the seconds, we shall simply return 0. But for the next value, we need to create an error. How do we create an error? Well, we do it like this. So using the errors module, we say errors.New, then we need an error message, and the error message should all be lowercase. That is just a convention in Go. So you might be tempted to start it with an uppercase letter like this. Instead, just make sure it's all lowercase. So as you can see, this new function takes a string, and that string should be the error message. So here what we're doing is we're returning 0 and an error. So as you can see, the new function returns an error. Okay, but if this doesn't evaluate to true, we don't want to return an error or a real error as a second value. We want to return the 0 value for an error, which is nil. But we also need to convert minutes to seconds. So in that scenario, we shall return minutes multiplied by 60 seconds in a minute, and nil. Okay, so let's go and use this, and I'll show you a common pattern when you're handling functions or calling functions which have the potential to return errors. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say seconds and error. Now remember what we said about returning multiple return values. We just grab them into variables, separating them with commas. So we're expecting 2 values to come back from this function call. So we are calling 2 seconds, and here we'll just pass in 5. But what we want to do is we want to check if this error is nil. If it is not nil, then we need to handle that. So here I'm going to say if error does not equal nil, and you'll see this so many times. And what we're going to do is, in this scenario, we're just going to print out some kind of error message. So we'll print out the error, and we'll also return, because we don't want to go any further than this. So we've called the function, we have an error because it's not nil. We're going to report it, and then we're just going to stop execution by returning here, and the code or the program won't execute any further. But if error is nil, meaning we don't actually have an error, we want to do something else. And in that scenario, we'll just print the number of seconds. Okay, so before we run this, let's think about what we expect to see. We're passing in 5, so that means it's not a negative value, it's not less than 0, so we shouldn't hit this part. We won't have an error. Error will be nil. and minutes will be multiplied by 60. So 5 times 60, we should see 300 seconds, and that will get printed out. We won't see any errors printed. So go run main.go seconds 300. How about if we passed in a negative number here? So -5. In that scenario, we're expecting the error not to be nil, and so we should see the error getting printed out instead. Let's run this. Okay, error, minutes cannot be negative. Okay, now that you've seen me do that, let's have a little bit of practice. And this practice is also going to lean on some of the stuff that you've done in previous lessons. So we're going to combine what you've just learnt with knowledge which you acquired earlier. And that should really start to help cement things. And this should be really, really good practice for you. So, challenge. Write a function called square root that takes an integer and returns the square root, and use float64 for the result, and then an error if the input is negative. So we're returning two values. One is a float64, one is a error. And I'm going to give you a little hint here because you might not know how to calculate a square root in Go. So the hint is you'll need to import the math package and use the math square root function to calculate the square root. And you're also going to need to convert the integer to a float64 in order to return a float64. So you're going to need to do that before you pass it to the square root function. And then in main, do like I did, test your code, test it with a positive integer, test it with a negative integer, and make sure that the error is printed when there is an error, and that square root is printed when you don't have any errors. So pretty sure based on everything you've just seen there that you can do this. Pause me now and give that a go. Okay, first things first, at the very top here we're going to import math. So it's got a red squiggly underlining because we're not using it yet. We're going to use it shortly. And in fact, when I'm using my IDE, I tend not to have to go up to the top and manually add these, but I'm doing that for educational purposes. What typically happens is my IDE will just add them when I call the functions, which is a great helper, and I'm not sure how I'd live without it, to be honest. So function, this will be called square root. One parameter, which will be an integer, and that will be just the number. So I'm just going to say n, and you'll see that kind of short variable used quite commonly in Go also. This is going to return a float64 and an error. Okay, so what we need to do now is check if n is negative. So if n is less than 0, then what we're going to do is we shall return 0, and also we'll create an error, and we'll say you cannot take the square root of a negative number. Okay, but if we get past that point, then what we want to do is calculate the square root. But we need to first convert n into a float64. Or we can do it in line, so I'll show you how we can do that. So here, we're going to say return math, and then this is going to be, as you can see, there's quite a lot of things you can do here, a lot of mathematical functions. So you might use some of these in some of the later Go Bytes. If there's anything you'd like to do, if you're studying maths or anything like that, just let me know, and I'll try and accommodate. But here we want sqrt, and if we look at this, it actually requires a float64. So we need to do a conversion. How do you convert an integer to a float64? Can you remember? Simply use the name of what you're converting to as a function. And then we can pass in n, and we're also going to return nil. Okay, now we've done quite a lot of inlining here, and sometimes you'll see people break things down into separate variables in order to just make the code a little easier to follow. For example, you might want to come up with a variable like n float and do the conversion like so, and then you could just pass it in like that, And that sometimes is a little easier to read, especially if you've got lots of functions, passing functions into functions. It can get hard to follow. Always consider other developers and that someone else has to read your code. So if you think this is a little easier to read, then by all means do that. I think we have a nice little function here which will calculate square roots for us. So let's go and try this out now. So I'll say SR means square root. I'm expecting two values here. So I'll say SR meaning square root and ERR. So often, like 99% of the time in Go code for error variables, you'll just call them ERR like so. Then we're going to call square root. Let's go happy path first. We'll go with 4. That'll give us a nice clean number back. Let's check the error. So if error does not equal nil, we shall print that error. Otherwise, we shall print the actual square root. So let's go and run this. Go run main.go. So we get a result of 2. How about if this is a negative number, then we should see an error. Let's go and run this again. Error cannot take the square root of a negative number. Okay, how did you get on with that one? Hope you had a go at this challenge. You might feel like this one was a little bit made you think more because we were leaning on some of the stuff that we've learned in the past. And so as we progress through Go Bytes and as we learn more, then we'll be able to do that. And so we'll be combining with stuff that you've just learnt with knowledge which you've acquired previously, and that will just help with a little bit of revision and helping this stuff stick, and it will build up your skills really, really quickly if you're having a go at the challenges. Okay, give the video a like, make sure you subscribed, check the description to see all the other info on where you can subscribe to the mailing list for more info, where you can see the textual versions of the lessons, and also where it'll just give you a little bit more information on the stuff you've just learnt. Let's move on.